somehow.
Constantly slip.
All right. I am going to declare us live. We're ready to go here. Wednesday night live before lock. Ben Rasa, Jason Rouslin, Awesemo.com, PGA show. We got the Rocket Mortgage. I'm not super thrilled about that, but we're going to work through it. We got a so-so field to break down. We'll do what we can, though, Jason. How you doing, my man?
Good, man. I know it's the Rocket Mortgage, and we may have a little bit, worser of a field or a little bit different pace, but hey, we're still playing for the same amount of money across the DFS industry, and wouldn't be this show if we didn't thank SuperDraft, our sponsor of it. And if you haven't played SuperDraft yet, you got to go check them out. Their prize pool is going up every week. We got a $4K to first place this week for the PGA contest. And SuperDraft, the future of daily fantasy sports, has arrived. Experience SuperDraft's exclusive game mode multiplier. So say goodbye to salary restrictions and hello to lineup freedom. Use your fantasy sports knowledge to draft any player you want, specifically Bryson DeChambeau this week, of course, and build your very own dream team. Countless lineup possibilities let you experience daily fantasy sports the way you want. Right now, SuperDraft offering contests in PGA, NASCAR, and MMA. And of course, we're going to get NFL back, right? We hope. MLB for sure, and NBA for sure. So you can enjoy the best of DFS all year round. Sign up for SuperDraft using promo code Awesemo10. Going to get $10 free on your first deposit of 10 or more, or 20 total free on your first deposit of 100 or more. Download in the App Store or play at superdraft.io. No limits, more winning, and that's what we're going to hope to do this week. As the nice part about this, right off the bat, as we move into our first topic, let's talk about the withdrawals first, actually, before we get into the weather, because there's not much to talk about. We got a couple of them. Harris English is the one that was actually printed in the field and on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Make sure he's not in your lineup. He will be out for at least this week because there's a new policy change now, just announced maybe 5 minutes ago before we came on tour, that if you're asymptomatic and you test positive on the PGA Tour, you will be allowed to come back and play after 2 negative tests. So that's what we had with Cameron Champ, who's now in the field for the tournament. We won't get to play him on DraftKings for the week long. They'll certainly add him for some showdown contests. So if you want to get your Cam Champ fix, you'll be able to do that. Ben, I know you love your Cam Champ.
Right in my wheelhouse, but...
Well, Dylan Fratelli was another guy that we lost this week too, sadly. But we won't have to deal with weather. So we got to deal with losing Dylan Fratelli, but we're not going to have to deal with weather. It looks like pretty good the first 2 days, huh?
Yeah, not bad at all. So the good thing too, I think everyone would say this in chat, we got all the regulars. We're ready to go. We're going to have a good show today. If you can hit that like button before we get started here, pump it up. We appreciate it. But I think we're all ready to accept, unfortunately, a couple withdrawals before the tournament. What we want to avoid is the Bud Cauley, could have been the Jason Day, the Denny McCarthy, where Friday withdraw. That's going to be tough. We all have to deal with it. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But
the Jason Day thing, not only was it, you woke up, you saw the headline, and you're like, no, someone's pulling our chain. He gets his own tee time. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, they just put him short. I mean, he must have loved that because it probably took him about 7 hours to play. But, yeah, it is what it is. The good thing, though, weather-wise, all good. Of course, going out in the morning, I still think is advantageous for first-round leaders and whatnot, but not by much. This is not going to be a significant split. So I think you can play it pretty straight up. I still look to pair tee times, Jason. I know that's something we've talked about in the past. Yeah. I don't mind taking a couple guys from a group and hope they can kind of, draft off each other and get hot.
Yeah, we got a couple of good ones. Now, again, historically, especially the last couple of weeks, we have seen the morning waves play better each of the 2 days. It ends up, the scoring average ends up being pretty equal, but the morning waves have played better. So for round one showdown, we got 20K to first. And of course, the Friday showdowns are always huge. I think 50K to first for DraftKings. You want to focus on guys like the threesome, Tyrell Hatton, Sung J M, and Brandt Snedeker. Now, I don't mind that for my showdown stuff, but we'll get into Brandt Snedeker a little later. I have a little problem with him this week. And then the 7:45 tee time is Webb Simpson, Ricky Fowler, and Nate Lashley. A couple of other guys in the morning that you might be interested in. Tyler Duncan, our boy Kyle Stanley, Kevin Na, Lucas Glover, Rory Sabatini, Brian Harmon, and Adam Agnew going off in the morning. So those are just guys that you might want to look into for the showdown contest. For the afternoon guys, obviously ones I didn't mention like DeChambeau, Reed, and Matsuyama are going off in the PM AM wave. So anybody that I didn't mention that is going out early tomorrow that you've got on either a showdown lineup or just somebody that you're focused on. For first round leader bet, I forgot about that.
So yeah, there's a couple guys. For a cheapie, someone like, this is a guy I wish it was Bermuda. I've said that several times, but Sam Burns goes out right at 7 a.m. He can get crazy hot, attack the par fives. Dare I bring Keegan up this early in the show? I'm not going to do that too much. He does go out early though.
I have him written down too. I didn't want to say.
I can't. I need to work my blood pressure, man. I can't take it. So
we'll work through this, man. We'll work through it together.
It cost me. I tell you what, I almost had it last week. But yeah, there are some guys early that I wouldn't be stunned to hang some numbers. But again, this is a tournament we saw last year with Nate Lashley. 25 under is in play. So if someone goes out and shoots 66, 65, and you have a first round leader ticket, I wouldn't be going to the window just yet.
Yeah. Don't ask for directions.
Seriously.
Too soon. But speaking of that, it is an easy course as we move on to our next topic here. Detroit Golf Club. It's a par 72, 7,300 yards. There are two courses at the actual event, so they use maybe a little combination of both. They grew the rough out about a half inch from last year from the stats that I looked at. But let me ask you this. You're not a golfer. But if they don't do anything to the fairways, and the fairways were one of the easiest to hit on tour last year, does growing out the rough really matter?
So, yeah, I mean, I kind of want to pass that right back to you because, again, I don't golf. What do I know? Yeah. But in my mind, I still think that this is kind of they're going to be able to attack with the driver, get some short clubs in their hands. Yeah, if you're driving it way offline, you could have a problem. But ultimately, I expect big aggressive plays, take apart the par fives, take apart the short par fours, and then hold on for the rest. And I really think that's the formula this week.
So the difference between when we see long rough, like we do at like US Opens, for example, or the PGA Championship in a major, the difference is they're hitting 3 and 4 iron out of those roughs, right? Mm-hmm. It's a 500-yard par 4. It's a 520-yard par 4 versus a 420-yard par 4 where they're hitting wedge in. So that's the big difference for me. I watched the little charity match today between Bubba Watson and Harold Varner and Jason Day. And by the way, it was actually really, really good entertainment. They basically talked crap to each other the entire time, and that was really enjoyable. I don't know if you picked it up and watched it at all, but what I noticed was exactly like I said. If they did find the rough, they had less than 150 yards in, and it didn't seem to affect their wedge shots that much. Obviously, it takes maybe a little bit of a scoring chance away, but I'm not putting too much stock into it. I still expect 20 under or better to win this tournament. How about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, the par fives guys are, especially two of them, you're going to be able to get to them in two pretty much no matter who you are. Yep. There's attackable par fours. And what you really said at the end there, I think, is the difference. And I get in a scoring fest, taking away a birdie opportunity is a downgrade, but this is not, US Open, you hit it in the rough, you're honestly trying to save bogey at some point. Yeah. This is not, instead of hitting it to 10 feet, these guys are going to be hitting it to 30 feet and lagging it up and taking their par. And that's the penalty possibly. Like, I don't see extreme punishment unless you really make a mistake. And that's why the score is going to balloon.
Absolutely. Totally agree. All right, let's break it. Let's get into the players a little bit. And we're going to just start off with Matsuyama and Hatton. Just weird that they're on the same schedule right now. Do you think that's coincidence? Do you think it's purposeful for whatever the reason? Like maybe they have the same agent. I didn't look into that. It just seems a little weird that they both skip. They have full status. It's not like they can play anywhere they want, every major. It doesn't matter. Why are they playing the 2 weeks that they played and not the other ones?
Yeah, it's funny because they're starting to become linked together. A couple weeks ago, everyone really played, and then we had Hatton coming off the win and the long layoff, Decky coming off the players that didn't count and the long layoff. Hatton almost won again. Decky was almost the worst player in the entire field. So it just showed two different things. Now they come back. This is way different than Heritage. I kind of throw it out. Decky lost 6 strokes putting there. Hatton gained 9 strokes putting. It's Bermuda.
15 strokes between the two of them.
Yeah, just the casual 15-stroke difference on the greens between the two. I feel pretty good. I mean, I know the elephant in the room is Bryson, best player in the field, dominant, going to be popular. I feel comfortable going elsewhere north of 10K, preferably Decky and Reed.
Yeah, I didn't see any weird coincidence on the Matsuyama hat thing. I just thought it was weird that nobody else, except for Cantlay and Tiger, nobody else has done what they've done. Maybe it had to be a strength of field thing where they saw, hey, everyone's going to play the first 3 weeks. We'll get one in there and go play the easy field at the Rocket Mortgage to kind of get back in. Maybe, I don't know if that's the case. But, all right, yeah, we can move on to the fourth topic here. And let's play the Bryson over-under game really quick. All right, let's start with our projected ownership. What do you think he's going to be? So let's start with the Millionaire Maker contest first. What do you think he's going to be? Over, under 20%.
So I'm going to go over 20%. I say in the Millie, I was thinking like 23 to 25%, possibly the highest owned guy in the slate. So many people who are getting into golf are looking for familiarity. He's played all 3 weeks. He's paid you off relative all 3 weeks. And now he's clearly one of the only remaining, top end options. You don't have Rahm, Rory, JT, and guys to choose from. I'm going to take around 23 to 25%.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over on that, and I'm going to take the over 30%. I think just so many people go that way. I think in the high stakes, so the single entry, the $200, that's very popular.
The driver,
yeah, they keep putting out good secondaries for it. It's so popular. I think he could be 40% in that contest. I think that a lot of people are just going to see that name and click it right away. And if it's their only entry, that's the way I do it. So before we move on, let's talk about that for a second. Is that a spot where he's likely to be higher owned? And we've talked about this a lot. Maybe you do want to fade him in a contest-specific thing where he's going to be 40 or 50% owned. Maybe you can get some leverage there if he finishes outside of the top 10 by fading him in that contest. Is that something you'll do? Personally, because I play a bunch of lineups, it is something I'm going to do. But again, that's because I play a lot of lineups. How about if I only played one? Would you do it?
It's a little tricky if you only play one. So, someone asked you the other day in our premium Slack, and it's one of the many reasons you should get in there. We have so many good guys dropping knowledge about would you do this in a situation like that? And your answer is what I always say. It's about risk tolerance, a lot of it. Like, I think that if you're willing to just get completely crushed, you can look to swerve right off the bat in a single entry with someone like Bryson. You're going to have immediate leverage. There's other good plays, and I think you can get away with it. If you say, you know what, I don't want to lose my week on Bryson just dominating, you still have 5 other spots to find leverage. So I really don't think there's a right or wrong answer. For me personally, I would go elsewhere. I like Decky. I like Reed. I think I can get away with it. And I'm prepared. The way I build, I'm prepared to be absolutely punished. And you see the results. You end up looking like this with repeated punishments. But comes with the territory. So I'm a little more, prone to take those stands. You just have to be comfortable with what you're doing now.
That's for sure. Knowing you're fading the best player in the game. No doubt about it. All right. So Millionaire Maker. I've been hand building my lineups. I just have been having fun with it. I miss playing golf so much. So maybe I get in like 80 to 100. I'm going to have them in 75%. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty much going all in. I don't normally do it, maybe once or twice a year. That's as close to an all in as I'm going to get. How about you on your Millie Maker ownership on Bryson?
Oh no, I'm not there. I'm actually around the field. So I didn't want to get walloped where I'm just absolutely crushed. And I would need something from, the heaven's gate to rebound here. I went 25, 30%, kind of what I'm projecting him to come in ownership wise. And then I say, you know what? If he crushes, I have 1/4 of my lineups and I'm live. If he doesn't play good, I have 75% of my lineups to work with. I don't have a great feel on what exactly he's going to do. The way I built dollar-wise, I hope he doesn't play great because I have more high-dollar things without him. But so you're building kind of like a pyramid in a way where you're going to look and then you're just going to kind of spray as you get lower to hope to connect those dots.
For sure. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
I'm looking to take in my bigger dollar stuff. I'm looking to take my top 2 plays, Bryson and number 2. Who we'll get to here in a minute, and stack them. And then the Millie Maker, I'm looking to pair Bryson up with at least one other stud and then mix and match down low. One of the reasons why I want to do that is I saw the winning Millionaire Maker ticket from last week with the Stars and Scrubs approach, and that just that tugged at my heartstrings, man. I love that build. I love the stars and scrubs approach. I always have. It hasn't paid off recently, so good to see it do so, and I think there's a chance at it this week.
Yeah, I mean, just to speak to that, I asked myself a lot, who the hell where have I heard the name Will Gordon before? Never heard of him in my life. There's only one spot where I hear him. It happens to be when I ask you, who the hell do you like at the end of the show? And you give me guys I didn't know existed. Good for Will Gordon. Has, I believe, unlimited exemptions now with that birdie on 72. So congrats to him.
Yeah, what a birdie on 72 after the bogey on 71, right, to get it. Yeah, he's fully exempt now. He's playing under the Doc Redman status for the next year until the new year comes, and then he'll be a full member on tour, which is, I mean, one of 8, 9 guys to do it. It's pretty incredible. So, all right, let's talk about one of those other guys actually right now, priced above 10K. So the cheap Victor Hovland is all done, right? We're done with that. We're probably done with that until maybe a major or something like that. What are you doing with him at 10K? Obviously, the ball striking is otherworldly. We know if he catches putting one week, he's going to have a chance to win. Is this a course where you like to play him, or is there a little too much sticker shock right now?
There's definitely some sticker shock. A $2,000 boost, and even in his multiplier over on SuperDraft, certainly getting that recognition. But he's going to take apart these par fives. I get it. The thing that I really wanted to ask you about him, and you get a little more value over on SuperDraft. You can play him obviously with whoever you want, 1.25x, but on salary sites, is he when you're using him? Because I have a decent amount. Is he your first man in and you go balanced, or are you trying to slide him in with a Bryson, with a Decky, with a Reed, Webb, whoever, and be kind of crippled for your other 4 guys?
I'm going with the kind of crippled approach for my builds, only because if Hovland has a good week, the guys that I'm putting around Hovland and Bryson should have a good week as well. Obviously, I don't expect him to have as good of a week. But no, I'm not. If I went balanced, I skipped both of them. I skipped all of them, actually. I went right down to Tony Finau and started at 9-3 and said, okay, I'll go get Tony Finau in the JT Postins of that. And that's actually a perfect little lead-in to our next section, the missed cuts and missed price segment, because 2 of the names I just mentioned, along with Scotty Scheffler, so Finau, Poston, and Scheffler, all missed cuts last week. Now coming here this week, more expensive than they were last week. Obviously, the strength of field has something to do with that, but do you trust any of them coming off of pretty bad weeks? But they were almost on the number. I know Finau and Poston were, Finau and Scheffler were right on the number at 3, and I think Poston was at 1.
Yep, I'll throw in Bubba. Missed on the number as well. Another guy in that 9K range that you mentioned. I'm tending, listen, I know we're starting to get a sample size. It's very hard to make a T65 cut. You're going to have times where you're -4, and you're going to have times where you're -3. And last week, -3, you go home, -4, you get 36 more holes to do serious damage. We've seen it time and time again. Fratelli, 62, launches up the leaderboard. Patrick Reed got in right on the number.
Again,
3 on Sunday, climbs that leaderboard. These guys didn't have that opportunity. I'm tending to say, you know what, that's a little fluky. I go right back to him. So particularly Finau and Scheffler. Poston concerns me just because of the way he did it. I don't know if you've dug in, but his stats were out of control last week. He gained, let's go to the videotape here.
Yeah, let's go right to the videotape. Yep.
Highly disturbing. Yeah, here we go. JT Poston. At Heritage, he gained 12 strokes with the short game, lost 4 with the irons. Insane. He followed it up with 4 more strokes lost with the irons. He only gained 1.7 with the short game, and that's why he missed the cut. So he needs to fix those irons in a hurry.
He does. In this course, especially you do. And he's got a good finish at this course last year. Yep. On that same token, I only want to bring him up because the approaches have been so bad, and I'm bringing him in the segment, maybe a little bit on the missed price side, is Brandt Snedeker. Here's a guy that has lost, similarly, about 9 strokes with his approaches the last 2 weeks, gained, maybe close to 8 on the short game. He's going to be really chalky. I can't get behind this, man. I cannot get behind it this week.
So I love one of the things that I love about our premium product is our ownership projections. Some of the sharpest out there. When I saw that number, I was like, man, we got to run these again because this is just not right. And apparently it is. Snedeker is going to be popular. I'm stunned. I truly am. I don't really understand it. Yes, can he get crazy hot with the putter? Of course. Does he have win equity? Yeah, he's that kind of guy. His irons are straight atrocious. You just mentioned it. He's not going to gain off the tee. He never does. So I know getting wedges in his hand and getting him on possibly POA with this bent mix or whatever the hell this is good, but I'm really skeptical. I'm also coming in underweight on him.
Yeah, I figured we'd probably align there. It just seems like it's not great. It's just not great chalk to play. There are certain spots where I don't mind playing the chalk and whatnot. A couple of other guys that I expect to be relatively chalky is Doc Redmond. Now,
here we go.
6,700 last week, 6,500 the week before. The ball striking has been out of control. Now, all of a sudden, DraftKings sees that he's came in second here last year, and you go from a value price to a high price, just like that, overnight. So does that mean you don't want to play him, or does that mean you do want to play him and hope that we're going to get a little ownership?
I am scared. I'm not playing him, so I'm taking the shot here. I think he's going to be very popular, but you just said it. This is not 6,700 last man in. I need him to make the cut. He's done that a lot, and he comes in 64th. I'm just going to read off his, say, last 10. 64th, 34th, 50th, miscut, 67th, 58th, 21st, and 11th in the last 2 weeks, which is very respectable. Irons have been great. A lot of those finishes, they're paying you off, per se, if he's 6,700, and they're not paying you off if he's at the mid-8s. I think there's a middling price tag there. The ball striking, you can't argue with it. It's unbelievable right now. Not for me, though, this week, taking a stand.
So off of that chalk, are you going down to Adam Hadwin and maybe a little less chalky Adam Hadwin, or are you paying up, or maybe taking one of the Euros that we'll talk about next?
All right, so this is where I'm splitting the disturbing things I'm about to say into two parts.
Okay.
One, I'm going up to Jason Day a little. Insanely disturbing. Two,
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm pivoting off Doc Redmond chalk to play Lucas Glover chalk, which is equally horrendous. But he's striking it amazing too. I feel a little more comfortable with him. God, you mentioned though, and I want to ask you about these guys. So we have a string of Euros, including, well, he's not a Euro, but he plays with it. Kurt Kitayama came in late, 8,100, RCB, EVR, Bezenhout. Do you have love for these guys? I think they're interesting tournament plays, but I cannot really get a range on how to prioritize them.
All right, let's start with Kurt Kitayama for a second. So I was watching the Monday qualifier, the scoreboard, and I saw his name down there. I'm like, oh, that's 2 weeks in a row that he's Monday qualifying or trying to, and see if he gets in. I know last week he lost in the playoffs, so I knew he was close. Got in. So I was building up my model, so I just priced them by myself, so I could not have the NAs come up on my model, of course. I priced them at like 7,600 and 9,200. And then FanDuel has to come out and price them at 7,700. And it just totally threw me off because it's like, well, it's basically a free pass there with a guy that I know has some high quality talent and a guy that DraftKings subsequently is pricing up as one of their average price players. So I decided that I'm getting pretty much all of my exposure on FanDuel. I'm just going to eat whatever chalk is there and deal with it. And if the other play that you could do, if you're in a single entry on DraftKings, I think that he's going to be very low owned there. Not only is he probably not his namesake as the other guys around him, but he was added late to the field. Now, if I had to only pick one, though, EVR has been notorious for having really hot irons, so of course we like that here. But Bezenhout is good with his irons and putter, and that's what you have to be good here. So I do like both of them a lot. I think they're both going to be under 10% owned. I do like Adam Hadwin as well, though, as kind of a safety net. I'm playing a little bit of aggressiveness. So I like actually Van Rooyen, Bezenhout, and Adam Hadwin. They're all part of my core this week.
Yeah, I took stabs on. You mentioned Bezenhout. He's gonna. Well, I don't want to say he's gonna, but he seemingly loses off the tee pretty consistently. It's not great, but you could survive that here. If your irons are crisp, he's a good putter. EVR is just a wild card. I have a tough time with him, but he's shown it in WGCs. He's shown it in majors. It's not like this field is anything that he's going to be worried about. So I get the merit there. I think it's just about piecing the right guy, like you mentioned. If I was looking for stability, I would play Hadwin. If I was looking for a potential winner, I would play EVR. I think he's got the biggest ceiling. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one name that we didn't bring up that's also a Euro guy that our chat is bringing up right now is Rafa Cabrera-Bello, who just shot up the leaderboard on Sunday. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to bring him up before we moved on. I looked at the log and, it was decent, but Cabrera-Bello, his irons are they're not the best. I mean, the last time he gained more than a stroke with his irons is way back at the RBC. I'm going to guess it looks like last year's RBC Heritage. So we've got 10 or so, maybe even more tournaments that he's played in, and we haven't gained a stroke on the approaches. So that makes me nervous. He got it done last week. He played okay. Came in, I think whatever it was, 32nd. I just think that 8,100 is still too much for him. I know that this field, but I'd rather play him at the 74 or 7,500 range this week.
Yeah, I mean, Rafa's a guy that I like to get to. I actually like him more in showdowns. He has spurts where he really looks good. He strings together a lot of birdies. But his stats as a whole, they're really just like underwhelming. You don't know what he does. He's kind of flat across the board. He doesn't have a major leak where like this guy's a great ball striker, but he can't putt at all. Or he's a great putter, but he can't drive the ball. Kind of does a little of everything, but it's hard to know what you're going to get. The irons are so-so. The driving is so-so. He's not an elite scrambler, not terrible. And he makes a fair amount of putts. So I get it, but I don't know what you're looking to in terms of correlating him. Kind of just a filler play for me.
Two other guys in the 9K range that we haven't talked about yet that I want to just get your passing opinion on. Sungjae Im and Ricky Fowler both maybe seem a little out of sorts for them. Sungjae Im's irons are kind of a problem again, which we saw for a bit last year, where he would just lose on his irons almost every week. And that we know is going to keep him out of the top 10. So because of that, is it no Sungjae and right to Victor Hovland? And is it no Ricky Fowler and right to Tony Finau?
So it's a little Sungjae. I still trust him a bit, but I'm more concerned between the two. I think most people would disagree with me here. I'm more concerned about Sungjae than I am Ricky. His irons are just atypically off. He's more of a cash play anyway. So like if he's not giving you stability, what is he giving you? I know Ricky has missed both cuts. Ricky's a wild man. He can come out of nowhere and just win. He's been all right. He's working through a swing change. His off the tees leaking a bit. He lost strokes putting in both of, it's only been 4 rounds, so I don't take much from any of this. And the irons were a little above 0, so that's not bad. I expect him to start putting better. He's going to take apart, like I said, with most guys, he can get to these par 5s. I like Ricky this week. I'm going right back to him. No concern whatsoever.
So I brought this up a couple of weeks ago on this show about Ricky, and honestly, I'm truly nervous about this portion of this game. It's putting. And the reason is because he decided to go cross-handed for putts inside of 10 feet, and it makes absolutely no sense to me. He was one of the best putters in the world. He had a little stupid session with Spieth on the putting green, and it's like all world is like, oh, well, Jordan's doing it. Jordan taught me how to do it. Now I'm going to do it.
Shouldn't be following him, yeah.
It's terrible, and you can see it in the stats.
So I'll say this. Ricky is a guy that notoriously, when you look, I think it's pretty fair to say that he's not a good enough ball striker to just rely on that. He has to be a world-class putter to compete. I think he still is a world-class putter. He needs to start showing that, though, because almost every time we've seen him, he has a blueprint. I'll take his last win. Waste management. He was good with the ball striking, very solid. He also gained 9.5 strokes putting, though. He won Honda a couple years ago. He gained 7.5 strokes putting. These are the type of things you're going to need. Now, he's someone I think can still do that time and time again, but he's not going to kill, it's not going to be like Hovland where he gains 12 with the ball striking and 0 with the putter. So if that is a true concern, that's where I could get into trouble because Ricky needs to pick up the putting.
Yeah, and it's I've been corrected. The new term for cross-handed is left hand low. It's just a technical little golf term. It's all right. Let's just move past it. It is what it is. It's just silly golf technical stuff. You know how it goes. All right, we're gonna keep on in this miscuts and misprice segment. We've got two more guys I want to bring up. Rory Sabatini, good at this course, good pretty much all year. Kind of going maybe a little underowned this week. Get your thoughts on him, and then we'll move into the high sevens. There's 3 or 4 guys right there at the high 7 that'll be highly owned. So start with Sabatini, and then give me your highest 7K guy that you're playing.
Oh, boy. Okay. Sabatini, I'm pretty ashamed to say this. I'm using him in cash. I don't know exactly. I never thought I would say that, but he's good at this course. I think the course fits. He's pretty consistent. I don't like the 8K range. He was just a viable guy there. That's about all I'm doing with him. I expect him to make the cut and not do much. In terms of the sevens, and I'll make this quick because I want to hear what you're saying, and then we can jump into, we'll start making and missing cuts. HV3 is going to be the clear chalk, and I see why. I do think there are pivots north and south of him, both ways, depending on where you go. But I get the Varner chalk, and I am using him.
I do too. Approaches were really good last week, right? And he's really consistent off the tee. I was really surprised, and granted, the field has something to do with it. He was one of the leading guys in terms of how many times he's gained over one stroke off the tee, which is very surprising to me. So maybe be able to take advantage of that here. We know he's been close, right? Right out of the gate at the Chuck Schwab there. He had maybe even a chance to win it. So definitely there. 2 or 3 more guys that I think are going to be popular. We already talked about Snedeker. It seems like both you and I are going to be under the field there. Alex Noren has had a bit of a putting resurgence. Brendan Todd had a bit of a chipping shenanigan go down on Sunday, but other than that, looks like he's in good form. And then Brian Harmon, who was really popular last week, missed the cut. He'll be a little popular this week. Do you like any of those 3 other than Snedeker? And if so, which one and why are you okay with eating the chocolate?
Oh, boy. So Harmon is someone that I was really disappointed. He had no business missing that cut. He missed a 23-inch putt late in the round. And then in the same round on Friday, he missed a 10-inch putt. I'm no golf savant, but I'm pretty sure those are known as gimmies. Just tap those in, Brian Harmon, and you find the weekend. Really not hard. Like it's a bold strategy to just make those. But other than that, I'm not super, like I said, I don't mind Noren. I don't mind Harmon. I have HV3 chalk, so that works for me there. And then as you work down, the one other guy I wanted to bring up to you is Maverick. He's cooled off a little bit, 7,600, but he's a California guy. I do think some of that will translate to this Detroit course. And he's very aggressive. I think he can outscore his placement. So I don't mind going direct pivot, same price, and a decent price over on Superdraft as well.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. If I had to play any of them, maybe Brendan Todd. I mean, the chipping expose
that was ugly.
And that was a dead shank. And he went through a period of time in his golf game where he had the shanks everywhere. So it made me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, but he's a quality player now, so I do expect him to bounce back a little bit. All right, let's go into the make the cut, where we really are just trying to help people that are playing, the $12 Albatross single entry or what have you. We're trying to get that last guy through so that your 6 of 6 is live into the weekend. That's basically what this segment is for. Although I like to throw in the top 2 guys, 1 or 2, just for fun. But before we do, Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we got on the Awesemo Plus side for all those that are not members?
Yeah, I absolutely will. So the community is growing, which we love. We see a lot of new faces in chat each and every day. No better time to sign up, though. Like Jason talked about at the top, MLB, NBA, all this stuff is coming back, and PGA is already in full swing. We've got projections. We've got ownership, the tools, the articles. Jason puts out a ton, not just for the full tournament, showdown stuff, which is huge. There's a lot of edge there. I'm providing betting content. So we have the whole team. We've got you covered. Like I said, tools, ownership, projections, and we have packages. I say this every time, we want you for the full year. We know you're going to love it. If you can't afford that or you're a little hesitant, come in for a week. It's less than $10. Try it out and see what you think. Give us some feedback. And we hope to see you again soon. If it's not for you, but we think it's going to be. So if you haven't signed up, awesemo.com/join. Before we get to the make the cut, one other thing, we got a super chat, which we really appreciate, from Ben McBrizzle. He wants to pick 3 of these 5. We're going to do that real quick, and then we'll get to make the cut.
I'm in.
Wolf, Higgs, Burns, Wes Bryant, or Lanto. For me, it would be Wolf, Burns, and Wes Bryant, and that's pretty dicey. Whew.
Okay. Burns and Wolf. I think Wolf is really close. That's why he came into the field. We saw him do really well with the putter last week, really well off the tee. The week before that, it was at the irons. It's all coming together this week. Sam Burns looked good tee to green last week. I'm going to buy back on him and hope his approaches come up a little bit this week. Okay, give me the other 3. Those are my 2 picks. Harry Higgs was 1. Wes Bryant was 1. And who's the other?
Lanto.
See, Lando's my boy because he helped me win it at Sony, so I'll just go to Lando. Plus, I know that Alex Awesemo Baker, our boss here, our superstar player, likes him a lot this week, so there's got to be a reason for that.
Yeah, you tend to want to gravitate toward. He knows a thing or two. So
yeah, one or two, right?
Yeah. All right. Let's get after this. Here we go. Fire him off.
All right. Left hand low, cross-handed putter Ricky Fowler. Does he see the weekend?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. If he doesn't see the weekend, I'm not seeing the weekend. It's going to be really bad if he doesn't make the cut. I really need him to get through. I rarely do this. I actually went to a couple books and shopped Ricky to make the cut in the betting market. And I don't do that normally. Ricky is making the cut. I'm wearing orange. Ricky is going to be wearing orange this week on Sunday. Trust me.
He better be.
He better be.
This next guy, I think both you and I are hoping he misses the cut, but do you actually think he does, Brent Snedeker?
Yeah, I'd like him to miss the cut. And you know what? I think I want to be clear. I say this, there's only a few guys I'd say this about. Brent Snedeker, I do think misses the cut, but that shouldn't deter you from playing him because the reason you play him isn't for making the cut. It's for winning. He's a massive win equity guy. So I have some shares just on that, but I ultimately think he's going to get in trouble with the irons.
Okay, one more top guy, then we'll get into these little ones. Does Kevin Na play all 4 days? Now, I asked that a specific reason. Does he play all 4 days? Not does he make the cut. The only reason why he's not playing on Saturday is if he withdraws.
Yeah, his back is an issue. Now, how big of an issue? I obviously don't know. It's caused him some problems these last couple of weeks. He has looked good, though, when he has played. I'm going to say that he finds a way through. Not my favorite play in the 9K range, though.
You know, it's so funny. He kind of plays up to it a little bit, too. Like on Instagram, it was like, glad to be here. Hope the back holds up. It's like, okay, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that little. You had to throw that last line in there, right? Anyways, okay, back to our make cut. Brandon Grace could not putt last week. Played okay other than that. Missed on the number.
Brandon Grace, my old friend who's not Louis from South Africa. I'm going to say that he does make the weekend, but there's not enough upside for me to really get to him. What about you? You have interest in Grace?
A little bit, not much, not much. Kevin Kisner is so out of form. He might not make the weekend for like the next six weeks. I mean, it's not good. Him and Russell Knox have fallen off the earth.
I still play Russell Knox. You know what happens when you do that? It doesn't work every time. Not doing it this week. No. And not
finally off the train. So Russell Knox, does he make the cut then?
No. And Kisner really he's got to get it together. I think he will long-term. No concerns there. Wait and see for me. I actually think he gets cut again.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. We talked about Will Gordon at the top. Doc Redman last year with very similar pedigrees between these two players. Very similar uptrends. They both had good amateur careers. They both had big amateur wins. They both got their tour card through special temporary membership. However, Doc missed the cut in his next start after the second place. So does Will Gordon follow that trend and go enjoy his close to $1 million paycheck, or does he see the weekend?
I'm going to say he gets clipped. Listen, I was really impressed. I don't know exactly what kind of player he's going to profile to. He seems to have some good putting. He seems to be able to drive the ball a bit. But man, that's a career definer early. You know, that's a game changer. So I wouldn't be stunned to see him maybe just still have one eye in the rearview mirror and get clipped this week.
I don't want to say because we only have 14 measured rounds on him, but he's trending towards a Wyndham Clark type player.
Great. That's what we need. More Wyndham Clarks on tour. Just anomalies. Sure.
A really good putter, can bomb the ball, maybe not so good with his irons. That is the profile of Wyndham Clark, and definitely causes Ben some agita over the years, over the last year. Maybe Gordon will be that guy that you're just going to get behind that's like this. And, you know, we've had the Cam Chams and the Wyndham Clarks kind of go against him. Maybe Gordon will be your guy, but we'll wait and see on that. Siwoo Kim, he finally showed up. His greens and regulation has been really good. Finally showed up last week. Is he going to make 2 straight weekends?
It's going to be somewhat popular, which is a little surprising. Yeah. I get the Donald Ross connection. I don't like to go to a popular Siwoo Kim. Think that he's going to get himself into a little too much trouble here and also miss the cut.
A pivot to him who's been playing, or off of him who's been playing very well. Second place here last year too, I think, or something like that. Mark Hubbard.
How about Hubbard? This is the range I think if you get this range right, you are very live to do extreme damage. And that's the range 72, 71. And we're going to have a bunch of them. We got Munoz, Stanley, a lot of guys coming up. Hubbard's not my favorite. I do think he'll do enough to get through the weekend, but there are a couple guys that we'll talk about in a second that I like more than him.
Yeah, let's go right to Kyle Stanley. Let's just get it out and over with. We're both back in, and it's scary. Just get to the weekend, Kyle.
Please. It shouldn't be that hard. Like, this is not a strong – he's looked better. I believe in you. Definitely think he makes the weekend.
Now, I'm not saying that this course is like the Puerto Rico Open course because obviously one's in Detroit and one's in Puerto Rico. But this is the Puerto Rico Open on steroids in terms of strength of field. And Kyle Stanley was, I think, fifth there this year. And, Victor Hovland won. So, if you're playing them two together, it kind of makes sense, I guess, in that respect. Just focusing on ball striking in an event where, the best players aren't there. All right, Tyler Duncan, you and I have been on him the last 2 weeks. He's really paid off. Is this the week where he doesn't pay off in trunk slams? Or actually just goes onto the charter early, whatever he does.
I'm a little more nervous just because we were both playing T-Dunks where you could take 6% of him and get massive leverage. He's not going to be unknown now. He's been striking it too well. He left some strokes out there last week, lost a couple with the putter. I'm still backing him. I like what he's doing, post-COVID here. He's looked good out of the break, but he's not going to be unnoticed. So if you're playing him, just be aware of that.
Lanto Griffin, we talked about a little bit before. Is he going to make it through?
Yeah, I think he's another one similar to Mark Hubbard. I think he finds the weekend, but I don't see him as a massive upside kind of play.
Okay, I think that makes sense. Do we think Aaron Badley makes the cut this week?
What? No, I don't. Aaron Badley
is he in the field?
He's an old school Wyndham Clark where it's just like, he lost 4 strokes off the tee. He lost 4 strokes with the irons. He gained 23 strokes around the green and another 10 putting, and he came in 6th. Like, I don't mess around with guys who do that. At Travelers, he lost 4 strokes off the tee. I'm not there on Aaron Badley now.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say that. All right, I will definitely attempt to get to everybody that they're saying in the chat. But before we go to them, got a couple more that I want to ask you. Tom Hoagie, our buddy Sal Petrie, who does the Monday shows, he's on him this week. And Jeff Ulrich, who's also on that show, also liked him. So are they right? And does he get all 4 days here?
Hollywood Hoagie. I'll say this. He's got the good combo, which is irons and putting. He can do that at times. He's a terrible scrambler. He's not going to blow you away off the tee, but he can get crazy out with the irons. I'm not there. I don't have him in the player pool, so I'm kind of indifferent to the play. I think he can sneak through, but ultimately his finishing points rarely materialize. I mean, do you have interest in him?
No. I mean, I should say that I don't. I like in the 7,000 range, if everyone's going to go up to Stanley and Siwoo Kim, I think you can play Tom Hoagie for the similar reasons. So I don't mind it. I should say I have a little interest. Not a ton of interest. He's not in my $500 teams, but he's on one of the $100 teams that I'm playing. So it's a decent interest. Fringe type player for me.
Okay.
Scott Stallings, real good week last week. I think that might have been the plateau, but I could be dead wrong.
Yeah, it definitely could be a plateau, but the ball striking was very solid. I wish he was in the high 6s. I would have a lot of interest there. I think he would be more chalky if he was, but middling price range, not the best, but I do think he finds the weekend. And if you're looking for a long shot multiplier, that's the type of guy on Superdraft you can go to. He's way down there this week, I believe. Yeah, he's 1.6x.
I love that. I mentioned him as a really good Superdraft play this week at 1.6x for sure. Peter Uihlein, does he make the weekend?
Peter Uihlein showed a little life. Last time we saw him, actually pretty good stats. Not going to blow you away off the tee, but he gained 4 strokes with the irons at Charles Schwab. Always can putt. I'm going to say he does make the weekend. Interesting pivot right at flat 7K.
Okay, I like it.
There you go. Do it.
Charles Schwartzel.
You remember when
Yeah,
Charles,
I know. That's why I had to ask you.
He was legitimately like the cut. It was like, it's going to be 5 under. He's like 9 over after 6 holes. And I'm like, well, then he started coming back and then he didn't come back.
But he might have found something there to bring into this.
He found something. All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to chase him. I would just rather go to Wolf.
So Wolf, Wise, Burns, 3 kind of young studs, all with really good pedigree. Do they all make the weekend here?
They do. These are the type of guy. I hope so. These are the type of guys I'm going to. You mentioned at the top that the way we were talking about a pyramid build. These are the type of guys at the bottom. You're not going to get them all right, but you don't need to. You only need to get a couple of these guys right, and those are the lineups that are going to carry you.
I have a pivot off of these guys that ball striking looks really good, and here's a guy that you only can play in GPP. You really can't play him in cash. He is absolutely one of the most questionable golfers in this field every single time he tees it up. I don't understand him because he's literally terrible or really good. And it's Tom Lewis, 6,800 this week. Last time we saw him was a couple weeks ago and he gained like 1.6 strokes ball striking on average for the 2 days. Do you like that as a 1% pivot? Could he make the weekend? If he does, he's in the top 10.
Yeah, so Tom Lewis is the ultimate he is truly the ultimate milli maker play. I don't see anything in his numbers why he could pop here, but I've seen him also time and time again pop out of nowhere. That's just the way he is. In Europe, we've seen it. The only reason he's here is during, Corn Ferry playoffs. He popped out of nowhere and won. That's what he does. So if you're looking for a guy like that, Tom Lewis is that guy. You just have to be prepared to see a guy out of contention and wonder why you did that.
Yep. Couple more. Sepp Straka, somebody just asked us. And country-mate of Tom Lewis, Matt Wallace, who had a weird kind of week last week, ended up playing by himself after the Bud Cauley withdrawal to compete for it. So Straka and Wallace, do either of them make it?
Not making my player pool. You just have to, there's too many guys down here. I had to make choices. I chose Wise. I chose Cam Davis a little bit, the Australian who can get hot, certainly with the irons at times. I'm not super opposed to those plays, but at the same time, they don't move the needle.
Yeah, I think, there's over 100 golfers below 7K this week. It's insane. It's honestly not like anything I've seen for a little while in terms of
pretty nuts.
DFS. So, all right, we had a guy, Will Gordon, obviously come up and come in 3rd place last week. And a guy that was beating him pretty bad this past year in college was a guy that won the Hogan Award or the Nicholas Award, one of those two. I apologize. My award names for college is not that great. But I know he won one of them. It's Satif Theegala. Does he make the weekend? This course maybe sets up a little bit better for him than last week did. Let me see if I can pull up the numbers on him. Obviously, it wasn't good. He didn't make the cut, so we're not going to really get good strokes gained. But why don't you tell me if you think he's going to make the cut while I pull that up?
Yeah, listen, I wasn't really there. I tend to be late on these guys. That's why, like I said, you get punished. Will Gordon, boom, there it was. Yep. I get rewarded with Theegala. I did not play him. I'm closer to doing it this week. I think he has a much better chance. This is a competitive field talent-wise, whereas he was playing in like a major last week in terms of strength. 6,400, I really have no strong take on him because we don't know what he does good and bad. There's just not that many plays that low. So if you are looking for him, obviously for me, as if you watched the show yesterday, I'm playing some Chase Seifert. That's a true dart throw. We don't see him a lot on tour, but when we do, it's been somewhat effective. He's 6,200. That's where I really went low. That's as low as I got.
Interesting. Okay. The 2 rounds from Theegala last week, I'll just say them real quick. He lost 1.5 off the tee, matched the field on approaches, and gained a little bit on putting around the green. And I don't know. He lost a little bit on that. So maybe the tightness of River Highlands made him struggle a little bit. Maybe the wider fairways this week will help him. So wanted to bring that up. Had a really good one in chat that I just saw. I wanted to ask you about to see make the weekend. Where is it here? Theegala to beat Charles. Yes. Here it is. Christopher Ventura. That's why. Okay. Another guy that can absolutely bomb the ball and actually is really good with his putter. He's gained over a stroke with his putter 4 of 10 starts. Like, what? That's almost unheard of. Obviously, we got to suspect some regression in that stat alone. But still, it shows he's a streaky putter. We know we need that at this course. For a GPP flyer, I'm not going to lie, I have a couple shares.
And I'll tell you this, chat. We don't really talk about what we're doing before the show. I also have a couple shares of him. Yes. Shockingly disturbing. Listen, he's a guy that's shown some talent. He's also shown no form whatsoever to find the weekend, but you can back guys like that in this spot just because of the strength of the field. He doesn't need to beat that many quality players to find the weekend, and that's all you're asking. Who the hell is Donnie Trosper? A lot of people have asked me about him in the past 2 days.
He must be a Monday qualifier.
He's got local roots. I obviously am not playing him. I'm sure he has talent. There's just too many names down there for me to get there.
Let's talk about a few from coolers from our chat. These are always great. And then we'll move on to our deep dives and hot takes here. These are always good. So your boy, Grillo, Justin Hadley, Grayson Murray, Danny Willett, James Hahn, Henrik Norlander, and the last one, Richie Wierenski. Man, these are some good ones this week, coolers. Oh, my God.
Griho did make the cut last week, and I am going to him a little bit. He's a pure ball striker. Chesson Hadley's another one, pure ball. You know, that list has a theme. Those guys can get really hot with the irons. They can't scramble at all. They're not great putters. So I actually don't mind taking a couple of them and just rolling the dice. But keep in mind, you're not getting well-rounded players there.
All right, I see why. The Trustford guy is a Michigan State guy. That's why. It looks like he probably just turned pro, 23, gearing up for his first PGA Tour event. Yeah, makes sense. No, he's 23 years old. So, I mean, Joaquin Neiman came on the storm when he was 20. I guess my point there is if he was going to break out, I probably would have heard of him by now. Not to say that he can't, right? But I haven't heard this guy's name at all anywhere. I'll do a little bit more digging, and for our premium members, I'll give them a little bit if they're interested. But right off the cusp, I'm going to say I'd rather play Thigala or maybe even go up to Gordon if you really want to get that low kind of studs. But we got guys like Aaron Wise, Sam Burns, and Matt Wolff, who are all 20 years old, 21 years old. If you're looking at that range, who we know can all play. So I would rather just go with those three guys. Not to say that Chesper can't get it done. It's just that's where I'd rather go. All right, let's move on to our second to last segment. We're going to do our deep dive and hot takes, which Ben absolutely nailed it last week. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, right? Dustin Johnson for the win.
I don't remember, but I'm taking credit. Yes, I bet DJ, had him in the article, which is free on the site, my betting article each and every week. Go check that out. And yeah, we're coming along on this show. Not a bad start. Oh boy. Now, all right. I'm trying to think, where do I want to go with my hot take? Do I want to go egregious?
Because we've already given our deep dives, really. I mean, we can give a couple more if you want to.
I think we've covered most of it. I'm trying to think of my hot take here. And I'll say this, chat. Give us some thumbs up here before we drop. This is the best part of the show. We get molten lava hot takes. Hit that like button for us. We got a lot of people watching here. We really appreciate it. We're building up the empire, and we want to bring you guys the best show possible. Sure. You're going to be wondering why I just said that after I give this hot take, because you're just going to be like, what you're just saying, that's not the best show possible. But we do what we can. I am going to say that Alex Noren.
Oh, no.
Is the top European.
What's the odds on that one?
I believe
that'd be pretty decent.
Yeah, I believe there's not that many top end Euros. I think he is 9-1 for that. I can take a look though and confirm it. I looked at him though. He's got some upside. I worry about him in a scoring fest. That's my biggest concern. He's more of a grinder. We've seen that with Noren historically, but this is an interesting little spot. So if you want a real out there play, Alex Noren, let's see. I got him right here. Top European, 9-1. Yeah. So I'm gonna go back a plus 900 right there.
Okay. I don't mind it. I think Victor Hovland is maybe
the
a little
problem.
bit better play. But that's if you're looking for a matchup. I mean, you wouldn't get plus 900 in a matchup against them. So as long as Noren can come out and beat some of those other guys, Benzenhout and the alike, Van Rooyen and such. So, okay. I'm going to give two because I think one of them is maybe like, it's like, oh man, geez, you really went off the cusp of that one. I think, okay, so we've had really tight leaderboards almost all year, right? It's been one or two shots, nothing really, nobody's run away. I'm going to come out and say it. I believe Bryson runs away from the field this week. I think he wins by 5. I think it's been a while since we've seen that. I think he goes out and wins by 5, whether it's minus 27 or minus 24, something like that. My second one is I think Matt Wolff finally breaks through again. I think we see him in the top 10. So a Matt Wolff top 10 and a Bryson win by 5 are my hot takes this week.
Okay. Get best of both worlds. I do like that Bryson. I mean, I think we both acknowledge Bryson has the capabilities to take it apart. Like if it gets going, he could run away with this. No one is doubting that. Will he? Time will tell. But we got a couple minutes left. Let's do a real quick super draft deep dive. We mentioned Stallings. I know you've done some things. The man running the company, Tom Kennedy, had a big showing at Super Draft last week. Congrats to him. I saw him up top. Any other plays stick out for you over on Super Draft?
Yeah, and if you're looking for some projections, of course, we have the projections for Super Draft as well. And, of course, we are offering free projections on our Instagram handle. So go ahead and check that, Awesemo_com. Victor Hovland is one of those this week. So if you're interested to see where he kind of ranks, go ahead and check that out. Okay, so guys that I like. One of the ones that I thought that you and I talked about at the top of the show, I suspect will be relatively low owned, and I like that he's 1.15x. It's Tony Finau. I think that he makes a lot of sense on Super Draft. And Christopher Ventura, 1.65x. We just talked about him. He's the highest multiplier or second highest multiplier on the board. He can putt super well, so I like going to him a lot there. I think he's a good pivot off of some possible chalk with Scott Stallings. You know, we saw Brian Harman 2 weeks ago on Super Draft be like 45% owned, right? If Harman misses the cut there and you're fading him, I mean, it's a great play. So for a pivot off of Scott Stallings, I like Christopher Ventura. I also like, if you want to play Thigala, this isn't a bad place for him as well at 1.6x on the multiplier. And then somebody asked us about, he's 1.6x multiplier. He skipped last week to focus on this week. It's a ball striker and a stat anomaly a little bit. Nate Lashley, last year's winner. 1.6x. Does he interest you here or anywhere else, really?
If I had to play him, it would be on Super Draft just because, I mean, he's shown crazy upside. I don't know if I really need to go there. So that's what I like about Super Draft is it's like a double puzzle. It's not just identifying those top-end multipliers. If they're too obvious, they're going to be massive chalk, and then you can do a pivot off them like you mentioned with Harman. And there are guys like that. Honestly, guys that I'm not on in salary games, Will Gordon, Doc Redman, 1.4x for Doc, I think is pretty good. Like I said, I don't want to pay the 87 or whatever he is on DraftKings, but you could look to him. Tyler Duncan is 1.4x. So there are guys. And then obviously, I think we'd both recommend you do want someone closer up top, whether you do take Bryson at flat 1x, Reed, Ricky, those type of guys, depending on who you want to round out those lineups.
Yeah, and I'll give you the last two on that same kind of bandwagon, I should say. Rory Sabatini and Adam Hadwin. Rory Sabatini, 1.4x over there. He's 8,800 on DraftKings. So if he's too pricey for you there and you want to get exposure, great way to do it is on Super Draft, 1.4x. Adam Hadwin, 1.35x there. He's 8,200 on DraftKings. So I think some really good opportunities to get some leverage there on those guys. And of course, you got a couple more at the like 1.25x range. So I think that will pretty much take us to the end here. We're playing for $1 million on DraftKings. We're playing for $4,000 on Super Draft, $100,000 on FanDuel. We've got a ton of money going around. I know it's not the best field, but still a lot to play for. Next week, as we prepare, it's going to be something similar to the field that we're seeing this week. It's the Workday Charity Open, and then we should have Tiger Woods back in 2 weeks. So all the Tiger Woods fans, stay tuned. We'll get him back in 2 weeks. Ben, let's give some parting words to our folks here. Yeah,
we got a lot of people in here. And as you just mentioned, a lot of money up for grabs. I want to see results, chat. One of us needs to take down this Millie. Let's do it. Like I said, good luck to everybody. If you haven't jumped in, join Awesemo Plus. We'd love to have you as part of the team. We've got so much behind that paywall. And again, we'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Follow us on Twitter. Hit us up. Jordan Klein behind the glass, making it all happen tonight. Thanks to him. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday.